What's on your evil mind?
Hold your insulting tongue and mark my words well.
How about this rumor that you are really hired, Mr. Stark?
Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host for tonight. My name is Roddycat. I go by Roddycat on Twitter and pretty much everywhere on the net, really. Also, News Nerds Need and CB Caps on Instagram. With me tonight is my man, my fellow, the comic collectors for the ages, or the comic book figure collector for the ages, who probably has his Okoye and I don't. But Agent Addison 70.
Not yet. It's on the way, apparently.
So, you can find him at agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram. And not with us tonight, we don't have Tim Dad 98. That's Tim DOGD 98 on Twitter. And also CB Cron and the KLIQ Nation on Twitter. It's DKLIQ NETION, just in case you forgot. Also check him out on CBR because he's writing his face off and doing the do. Also not with us tonight is PCN _Dirt, who hopefully is having a situation taken straight and taken care of.
Yeah, that's gonna take a little bit of time. So in the meantime, in between time, we are holding it down.
Yeah, well, like we always do about this time. But you can find him at nothing medical, by the way, just in case anybody knows. Right. Anyway. PCN _Dirt on Twitter, Pop Culture Net on Twitter, also popculturenetwork.com and ineedcomics.com. And as we do it, excuse me, let me pop. You can subscribe to this podcast at Google Play and also on iTunes, and go check out the Cold Slither Podcast Network's SoundCloud page and go find us there. And of course, shop.cspn.us to get some merch. And of course, the CSPN website properly, cspn.us, where you can find this show and all the other Cold Slither Podcast Network shows. Good stuff over there. Go check it out. And with that, folks, we are going to get into the week's crops of the comics, as we tend to do. And we're going to start off with, which arguably the biggest book of this week,
right? The big number one.
Yeah, and that would be, and I was also excited for this. Well, I'm very much excited for this book when it to be coming out, and that is Shuri #1 by Dr. Nydia Okorafor.
Right, and art by Leonardo Romero and colors by Jordi Belair.
Yes. If you want something done right, give it to Jordi. But that's actually, hey, look,
that's the truth.
She is sought after for a reason.
Listen, there's Laura Martin, there's Jordi Belair, there's a couple of other colorists who, if I gave it some thought, the names would just pop up because they're doing great work right now.
Exactly, and like I said, and I did not say that as a slight. It is she does some awesome ass colors. Period. So with this book, we come to find out. Basically, for those that didn't know, Shuri's history. She was the Black Panther. She died. She came back. The current run, she's got a new set of power sets. This book, and of course, the Black Panther movie came out. This book is pretty much bridging all of that into the current goings on of the current Black Panther run. In fact,
yes, it's actually a very useful bridge and a useful stage setter for that book, because unbeknownst to me, that I don't know if you knew ahead of time that this story would weave directly into what's happening in the Black Panther story proper.
There was no prior knowledge, as far as I know, given, or at least I hadn't seen it anyway.
I was pleasantly surprised by this. It was a revelation to me that they would plug this right in.
Yeah, it also seemed like it was kind of a spoiler. Well, technically not a spoiler, but if we had, let's put it this way, if this had
a little bit of a retcon, a little bit of one, kind of filling in that gap. Like, how do we find?
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, how do we get to? We already knew that Coates had been setting up Wakanda in space.
Sure, that is also true. Yes.
So this was literally the means to bringing the very first Wakandans into space. So, like I said, if you think about it in the truest retcon sense, this was a bit of retroactive continuity where they put these characters together, put them on a ship, and we're getting into some spoiler territory in this review. So I'm going to ring the bell.
I feel like if this book had come out, I don't believe it as so much of a retcon, but I see what you're saying, and you're kind of right, because like you said, Coates has been setting up Wakanda in space. I thought they had already sent some people out in space already, but that was a whole nother thing, and that might not have been Coates, because I remember reading about something like this, like back in Infinity or something. But regardless of that,
right, but I think that was like a Future Flash or something along those lines.
I'm thinking so, and as you said. But like I was really about to say though, was if this book had came out around the time of the current run starting, it would made a little more sense than then, because what we get here is what we did not get there. But at the same time, like we were, as we have said here in the past, we were treating that book like as if it was something that maybe a dream sequence or something that wasn't necessarily tied to what is actually going on Earth right now, but we come to find out it is, and we come to find out that
right, and we sort of still have to figure out how time and space have been bent because of their travel. So and I think that I forget what the author's name again.
Nnedi Okorafor.
All right, I got to take a look at that so I pronounce that correctly. What's that?
I said Dr. Nnedi Okorafor.
Right. I kept wanting to call her Okafor, like like all the basketball players who are named Okafor. But so Okorafor writes this book, and like you said, kind of fills in that blank. And we find ourselves trying to figure out now how to interpret Coates's run based off of this, the most recent volume.
I mean, it's I guess, yeah.
Not exactly self-explanatory, because we're dealing with, what could be a far-flung future that is various alternate, like alternate future selves, or we're dealing with characters who have been transported, into the future and find themselves without their memories. So,
which I believe that where I was going with what I was about to say was that, I think we can kind of interpret, given especially what we find out is, what happened to him. You can kind of interpret that some kind of way, but we really don't actually know what led to the start of it. But I'm willing to go with the fact that what you just said was the case, being that transported, because it makes sense. Like, it makes total sense now. Which this is why I said.
It would help that this would have come out sooner.
And I guess kind of a spoiler, and maybe possibly a letdown to some. I don't know, because it's like, okay, if you've read this, and now did you find out? Well, okay, we know they went up, and we know this thing was a thing that possibly have led to that. Well, that has led to that. I think we can safely say for sure. Then it's like, well, okay, then it's not what we thought it could have been if there was anything else. Not saying that it's still not a good story, but it was like, well, okay, that some of the mystery has been taken out of it.
Sure. But also, and without belaboring the point, it's probably a strategic move on editorial's part
True.
to weave this book directly into what's happening in Black Panther to give it a selling point or an extra selling point.
I was about to say, it may not even be editorial, maybe coats.
That too, but no, but you know what I mean, like in terms of setting it up.
Yeah, but because I know those two have been talking, and like he's kind of. I guess if there was a Black Panther section of Marvel at this point, which he would be kind of on top of it.
Right.
So, but that said, like I said, that doesn't stop this from being a good story. It's just like well, that just kind of takes that other story into something slightly different. But getting back to what's actually going on here, so we get that bit of a news drop early on, but so this takes place while he's gone, which also actually still brings us the fact that it was like, well, T'Challa's still in with the Avengers, but we're not even going to.
Yeah, we're not going to mess with that time slip or paradox.
Exactly. So, so during the time of while T'Challa's gone, Shuri's still doing her thing. She's as the movie version of her does, invents a whole bunch of tech, which she's doing. The first thing we saw that she had invented, or at least in this comic, looked like I'm like, did she steal Archangel's wings?
Yes, I thought the same exact thing. And if they started shooting feather knives, I would have been like, hey.
Right. Granted, we've seen with the Midnight Angels outfits kind of resemble this, and I believe they have some sort of capability to symbol this, so it's not outside the realm of possibility. That was from that, but it's just like, whoa, yeah, like those wings look awfully familiar outside of that. And then of course she has this other thing she calls the Eye of Sauron and this and that. So this is her going her daily day, and we find out that she's been in contact with some dude that's on the outskirts of Wakanda, or some person that's on the outskirts of Wakanda that she met, who's may potentially be keeping an eye on her.
I was about to say, someone needs to tell her the whole thing about don't talk to strangers on the internet,
And they did, because they did. There was the specific panel with because she has the ancients, talking to her. Specifically said, "Don't talk to strangers on computers." During that panel before she, as she was leaving. So we see that. So we see that her powers have kind of started manifesting a little bit different. She's getting her color back on her hair and that kind of stuff. So she's, going through her day to day. She ends up with this meeting of various women, including her mother, Queen Ramonda, and a bunch of other women from around Wakanda, and Okoye's there also.
Right, it's like a formal council,
basically, to talk about, well, hey, T'Challa's not around, and Wakanda has to keep on being, and so if the rest of the world finds out that we don't have a king, then what's what? So one of them was like, well, we still keep on going the way we've been going, and which leads them to ask her to redon the mantle of Black Panther, which ends this issue.
Right, that's our cliffhanger.
Yep. So whether she does it or not, which it's not been said whether that actually happens or not, but regardless, we will see in T'Challa's absence what brings this book up. And this is worth noting that this is an ongoing of so hopefully it will get times to have some legs.
Right. I hope it gains some traction, because it definitely could use, like you said, some time to enter its own space and and get its feet under itself.
But it's already starting off pretty decently. Like we don't know what necessarily we see some things that might be starting off, that could happen, but but we don't get to see where is it gonna go. So hopefully it gets there. But before we get off of this though, and while I have it on my mind, my comic shop was giving out big posters of the there's no way I can get this in the frame, so
sure.
But basically this is the cover. This is a poster of the cover, and it's a big cover. Big poster if you're watching.
Yeah, it's a great promo poster.
And and apparently I was the only one in my shop, which I kind of figured to pre-order to get this book, or to get this book anyway.
Oh, it's a pull. I gotcha.
Yeah, which, like I said, it was kind of funny because my comic shop guy was like, yeah, I wanted to, I wanted to make sure special. I'm like, nah, I figured I knew I was the only one who around here who who got this book. So, but I appreciated it nonetheless. It was, So, but anyway, I dare say that if you have any interest in the Black Panther mythos and Shuri from the movie, you should definitely check out this book. Hopefully you had already known about this and checked out this book, but you know how marketing is on certain titles for books. Some get more than others. That said, but I enjoyed the read, and I think you might too, if you are a fan. So let us move on to something else. You want to throw something out?
Let me just cover the one book out this week that continues the ongoing Spider-Geddon story this week, referring to Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man number 311. It's spectacular. Right. Listen, if the theme song that Roddy is referring to is to the Spectacular Spider-Man animated series, and if you haven't watched any animated Spider-Man, you have to watch that Spider-Man, and you will be entertained and informed and educated on the history of Spider-Man.
Although, if you have a chance and can find that, Friends is still pretty damn good, and that other 90s ones. But yeah, you actually turned me on to because I knew about the Spectacular. That was on a slighter side. That particular cartoon, you were the one who
I was pushing. Yeah.
And that's what made me go and seek it out, which I still hadn't finished watching it, but I watched a good bit of it, and it's
good. So good. It's so good. I got it on iTunes, like just so I could watch it, readily, have it readily available digitally. But in any event, this issue reads fairly quickly because it's an action-packed one-on-one between Peter Parker Spidey, and Morlun. One of the inheritors, and it gets pretty one-sided in this issue. J. Jonah Jameson, who has become a regular aide de camp basically to Spider-Man, plays a small role in this issue, but as I said, it reads very quickly because it's more so than not a one-on-one battle between Morlun and Spidey, and it's just the first chapter of it. So there's not much to this other than understanding that this is where Peter Parker is, while the rest of the Spider Forest, the Spidey people, are in the Spider-Geddon crossover book proper.
Oh, wait, so this is an actual tie-in to it?
It is.
Okay.
It is. Essentially, I know that some people, I spoke to some people when Spider-Geddon came out, and they were surprised that Peter Parker wasn't actually in the first issue. And this basically ties Peter Parker directly into the events of Spider-Geddon.
I should probably do a little side pull then. But, okay. Cool.
So that's this book.
Gotcha.
What do you got?
I have actually. I hadn't. This was not a big week for me. Or for whatever reasons.
It's
okay. So I probably got like maybe one other book before I go to Rapid Fire because I only read like 4 books.
No problem.
Unstoppable Wasp #1. It is back, folks. And it is, I think, is still as good as it was. Same writer, I believe, same creative team, and just in general. Now that I think about it, but Nadia is, and it seemed like it. Well, it may or may not be taking up from where the last volume ended. But even though the last volume ended kind of cleanly, so there wasn't really anything to kind of go off from outside of the fact that. Well, I'll take that. That's not necessarily true. So Nadia basically starts off by learning how to drive. She's got Lola.
I was gonna say, I just saw Lola.
Yeah. Somehow, well, so then at first she didn't know didn't know where she came from, but she bought it from Mockingbird, who got it. So she got it from somewhere. But regardless, she learned how to drive. She gets this alert from Jan, who's off on doing some meeting for her their girl initiative. That's GIRL with the like situation. Anyway, at a meeting with one of the girls for that side, and she tells Nadia that apparently AIM, speaking of, is, or at least some rogue agents of AIM, including a person that she's dealt with before, it's kind of back causing trouble. So she asked Nadia. So Jan asked Nadia to go try to go handle that, which she does. And apparently, a part of this, she has her own support crew, almost in a Power Rangers type fashion, where she's got like different colored vehicles and some other gadgets and things like that, and she got her own little support group kind of helping her out with this while she's at it. And she meets across an agent of the I keep saying I want to say the Sorcerer Supreme, and it's not. It's Science Supreme. Who apparently knows her and it's someone from the first volume of Unstoppable Wasp who's Nadia's met, and they get into a fight, and some questions come up and some things happen, but that kind of gets taken care of relatively quickly, and which ends off in the book going to going back to Jan and the meeting, and some things happened there where they're basically setting up a conference, and all of that is going great, and Nadia's got to invent something in the next 2 weeks for said convention, World Fair, and she hasn't done that. So, and that's where that book leads off. So this book is still kind of keeping light, and there are some things going on, but this is also basically more so about her, Jan, and the Girl Initiative and what they're trying to do. That's kicking off. So that is a cool book if you if well, especially if you have young, I guess. I mean, anyone can read it, but if you have a young girl who may be interested in like especially the Ant-Man and Wasp movie, who's Hope from that movie.
Sure.
Which is not necessarily, which apparently who Nadia is taken from. I thought it was the other way around. So I did that part. I did not realize, but in general, it's good. Like, and it's got Janet Van Dyne written Wizard of the Wasp in it, and I've seen some previews of the next issue, so it's gonna be fun times coming. What you got?
Alrighty, so I actually wanted to talk about. I read some really interesting books. I'm going to shy away from probably the most disappointing book that I read this week and go towards things that intrigued me. The first thing was The Life of Captain Marvel #4. And Roddy and I had been talking about this just off the air prior to the start of the show.
Yep.
I have to tell you that I'm going to ring the spoiler bell because I might be spoiling more than one particular form of media.
That hasn't happened yet, but yes.
Right. I'm playing a little bit of soothsayer here because it's curiously timed and obviously well timed that Marvel would put out a bit of a retcon of the origin of Carol Danvers. And that's essentially what the Life of Captain Marvel miniseries is doing. We're in the 4th issue, and there have been a couple of reveals about Carol's heritage and how that affects her story of how she obtained her powers, where we had originally thought they were given to her by being bombarded by radiation from the Psyche Magnetron from way back in the day. That hasn't changed, but there has been a few tweaks to the origin to create more of a tie to the Kree. I'm not going to spoil everything because I know this is not high on a lot of people's radar. This is not going to be one of those books that sells off the shelves, but in advance of the Captain Marvel movie in the spring, I think the trade of this, when it's available, is going to be something that sells briskly once the movie is out. And I think that the story that's being laid out herein may in fact be spoiling some of what we see in the movie.
Although it is worth noting, though, that the character core is large, so I think there's probably a good enough attention. There's probably some decent attention put on this book because of the fact that it's Captain Marvel and those, like I said, the Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel fans are
right. It may well be just that I noticed that there are plenty of copies laying around in some of the smaller stores I go to, but in the more mainstream stores, Forbidden Planet, Midtown Comics, and so on, there probably fewer. There probably are more members of the Calcor, both male and female, who are picking this up. So,
yeah. So, but we don't necessarily know.
Right.
But yeah, there's like we said beforehand, like I was kind of curious about this, especially given what you said for this issue and the previously.
Right.
I would be interested in reading this.
It's well written and the art is good, and that's hard to top when it comes to reading a good comic.
Margaret Stoll still writing that, I believe, and I can't remember the art. So
right, and on art, I think it's Carlos Pacheco, so you know that it's going to be solid.
Yeah. So there you go. Okay. I'm thinking my last two can be
Rapid?
Yeah.
All right, so let me talk about one other book before I move to rapid fire. That is Thor #6. And if you are not reading Thor right now, you are missing out. It is just action incarnate. It's amazing stuff. We are at the end of the life of the universe, and old King Thor is not a merry old soul. And last issue, we discovered that not one, but two other, over the last few issues at least, we've discovered that not one, but two other major Marvel characters survive to the end of the life of the universe in different incarnations. I'm going to ring the spoiler bell because I know that there's some people who are not caught up on this. But I am referring to both Wolverine and to Doctor Doom, and to see them at the end of the life of the universe and what and the powers that they're wielding and how they're wielding them is pretty intense. It's pretty insane. Got to give Jason Aaron, and I believe this is Mike Del Mundo on art this week, this month. Oh no, it's Christian Ward. My apologies. Christian Ward doing a bang up job on this, and it's phenomenal reading. Phenomenal reading. Don't want to spoil the cliffhanger page. It's a reveal that you expect, but it's still really done well.
Okay.
And this really is a book that I highly recommend. It's just so much fun.
Nice. Cool. With that being the case, I guess we can go into rapid fire.
All right, I'll spin it up. There it is.
That was it. And I will start off by saying, well, I only got two more left. So there's Teen Titans 23. Roundhouse is back, which we found out at the end of the last issue. But he was just kind of chilling at home, didn't think the team would care. And I kind of wish that character would stay dead. It's kind of annoying. But in the midst of that, the Titans was after this person, and there's still a little bit of this and that between the team, and maybe possible interest of some kind for Robin and or Jen. So I don't know how that's gonna work out, but or not that, but hey, that's that given some other things. But yeah, that book is still that book. And the last book is What If Ghost Rider #1, which they're all #1. So yeah, this is another what if, but this doesn't read like a what if. Like it starts off like a zine, and it just basically kind of goes into what feels like a possible elsewhere story, I guess. I don't know. I really don't know how to say it because it's basically Robbie Reyes is interning at Marvel, and he has to chaperone this death metal band from Latveria. Actually, yeah, I don't even know what death metal, but regardless, it's metal, a metal band from Latveria, who seem kind of weird and don't seem as, and they're kind of infamous for this and that and the other, but comes to turn out that they are partially what their story has said about them is. But it in this, so some things happen, and there's even references to a certain Stanley rumor that was going around about him and some merchandise with his blood.
Oh goodness.
They reference that in here, which actually it takes a part of the story, not with Stan Lee, but with this group in a certain light, in a certain way. So that kind of goes into that, and Robbie ends up turning into Ghost Rider and having an adventure with all of that, which doesn't seem to end. Well, it ends, but it doesn't seem to end with any kind of conclusion. And again, it doesn't. This whole thing doesn't read like a what if. Okay. And I said Ghost Panther, and I don't know why I said Ghost Panther when it's Ghost Rider. I got it written down on my notes. So, but anyway, but that's that, and it was.
I thought it was something completely different.
No. It's not a
crossover.
It was Infinity
Warps. Yeah.
But yeah, that was that. And like I said, it doesn't necessarily end because like we said last week, what ifs kind of have a way to tell a story, and that's that breaks off of something that actually happens in continuity.
Sure.
Does none of that. So I don't know what they were thinking doing it like this, and so. But it is what it is, I guess. If you want a slightly metalish based story and with the Ghost Rider, and something to check out. I don't know. I haven't read the other What Ifs, but they seem to be losing the thread on what that actually is.
Okay.
But anyway, that is it for me.
Alrighty. So I've got 2 books left. The first book I'm going to talk about is Batman number 57. It's a direct continuation of last issue where we found Batman stalking one KG Beast as a result of the Beast's actions taken against Nightwing. We've already spoken about it. He shot him in the freaking head. This is Batman's holy retribution against KG Beast after taking a 300-kilometer walk through ice and snow to get to where the Beast was hanging out and dealing with some daddy issues. So it's a fairly straightforward issue. We find out that there is someone behind KG Beast's action, and that is essentially the impetus towards the next arc of stories that are going to happen in Batman. And the last book I can talk about this week is Daredevil number 609. And this is the first chapter of Charles Soule's, I think, swan song on the book. It's The Death of Daredevil. The art is by Phil Noto, so you know it's going to rock. It starts out with kind of a weird premise as to how Matt Murdock finds himself in a very life-threatening predicament, but it is closing a bit of a circle in the character's story. I'm not spoiling it because I think it is important to read just so that you can get a sense of where Soule might be trying to literally close off some circles and come or bring things full circle for the character. We are definitely picking up where things left off in terms of Murdoch's quest to knock Wilson Fisk out of the mayor's office. And we have his investigative team that he put together over the course of the last few issues. And from the events of the Hunt for Wolverine series that Charles Soule had written. So a lot of that ties up together into the events of the last few issues of Daredevil. And as I said, we have things setting up Daredevil for a fall. So we'll see where that goes from here. This is just the first chapter in what should be a pretty good story. I think Soule has a very good handle on his take on the character and trying to create a good dramatic story for the character.
All right. I wanted to ask you real quick. Because you kind of mentioned something with Batman. Teen Titans kind of references what is currently going on with Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Did at the end of this book did he get real hurt bad or something?
Kind of.
Okay, so then that is referencing that then. Okay, because I saw that because I was like there was a reference that I saw to Batman. I wasn't sure if it was from that or from something else that's going on in Justice League or something. But okay, cool. And with that, folks, clicks of the week time.
Hold on, clicks of the week.
And we already have a couple from our cohorts, and that being Dirt's pick is Gideon Falls number 7.
Sorry, we didn't talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, he's not here, and we don't know anything about it, so we can't really say. And he didn't leave any notes, so can't really say too much about it. But apparently, he liked that one enough, and I think he's talked about that one before. So if you're talking about that one, then there is that. And also there was Tim's pick, which was the aforementioned Thor number 6.
And I second that vote for click of the week. I am going to vote for Thor number 6 as my click of the week.
Nice. All right, so we got 2 for Thor number 6, and we will round it out with my pick, which will be probably, unsurprisingly, Shuri number 1.
Well done. That's a good pick.
Good book, yeah. And that is that for the comics of the week and the clicks their end. Shall you serve us up an ad, please?
Yes. Our first ad of the night, and I'm not going to kill my voice trying to do anything crazy or special or funny, but if I come up with something for the next ad, I might try it. Our first ad of the night is for Wink, a personalized wine club. Wink is a world of wine delivered right to your door. From rosé to Cabernet to Torronté, Wink has over 100 styles of wine to discover. Ever try an orange wine? Wink connects you to a world of exclusive wines tailored to your tastes and delivered directly to your door. Wink delivers 4 bottles of wine to you every month with free shipping. You can pick your own bottles or let Wink choose and match to your taste. It doesn't cost a thing to become a member, and you can skip or cancel anytime. And now, the listeners of the Click Nation's Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy an exclusive discount of $20 off your first order. To place your first order with $20 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us/wink. That's cspn.us/WINC. Wink Wines through CSPN. Do it today.
Indeed. And now we go into the news, starting with the cinematics.
News.
And we start off with some. I'm not even sure why I put this in here. But Avenger star Jeremy Renner releases a song.
Oh, no. Okay. Dude, rock on.
I mean, so so I'll go ahead and read this. So apparently, someone named Sam Felt released a new song titled "Heaven Don't Have a Name," which features the vocals of Jeremy Renner. So this is not the first time because we've heard Jeremy Renner sing, because he was on Jimmy Fallon singing a song as Hawkeye, actually. If I remember from a while back. So I haven't heard this song, but he's not a terrible voice.
Good.
That's the thing.
Good. Okay. All right. Next up, Chris Evans responds to his cryptic MCU farewell tweet. So on October 4th, Chris Evans tweeted that he was done with reshoots for Avengers 4. And his tweet sounded very much like a farewell, and it basically brought on tears and massive feels for his fans on Twitter. But now Chris Evans is saying that it may not be done, but I don't know if that's part of this story, but I know that he's not. I don't think he's completely closing the door, but
right. he basically came out later and said that, hey, don't take that as being that I may or may not be finished with the MCU. Just that, hey, done with Avengers 4. I didn't pull that because I forgot it didn't. Or I mean, I had to pull that, but I was going to bring it up anyway.
Okay. Next up.
And actually, I need to boop and a boop. And speaking of Avengers 4, Avengers 4 wraps up filming with another mysterious photo, which you would think we had talked about this already, and we did, but we did not. So this was after the fact, and of course, the Russo brothers put out another Twitter went out to Twitter to put out another picture that says hashtag wrapped, and you see this picture of whatever the heck this is. It says
did you see that someone had doctored a photo to make it look like it's the other side of Iron Man's proton cannon from the Capcom games?
Oh no, Unibeam!
Yeah. Proton cannon.
No,
yeah,
I did not see that, but I can see where you could do that with this. But it possibly looked like a cosmic cube in flight or something, or on the move,
possibly.
But I think since we already know, where the cosmic cube is at this point, might be slightly high, unless there's one hiding out that we didn't know about. Regardless, that's a thing. I'm sure people are chopping it up, trying to figure out what in the world it is about, and yeah, that's a thing.
Alrighty, next up, a description has surfaced online of what the Avengers 4 trailer looks like. We're not going to spoil it here. It's all rumor, but apparently there is, like we said, a rumor online of what this trailer constitutes.
Yeah, and actually, along with this, which I did not pull because this came off of Reddit, so you got to take that for what it is regardless. There was also supposedly some leaked footage of the trailer or something around that might be surfacing, and there's also speculation that the Avengers 4 trailer could be dropping sometime soonish because of all of these rumors, but again, we don't know. And I don't know, sometimes there has been the case where there's like, we need to go ahead and put this out there because it's already being possibly spoiled or leaked, or whatever I guess might be. Not saying that this is this case, but just that, hey, there's some stuff floating around and people are trying to actually something else happened online with Twitter. I'm pretty sure I didn't put it in, but so because of Mark Ruffalo being fake fired last week, fans were petitioning that he go ahead and spoil the title of Avengers 4, which is kind of stupid, but sounds like a fan thing to do. Whether it was a serious thing or not, but apparently that's floating around also. So next up, no, Brie Larson hasn't signed up for 7 Marvel Studios film. So
she signed up for 10.
Actually, that's not even true, but that's funny. So yeah, so there was a rumor going around that she was on board for 7 films, which she's only had been locked in for 2. And she went out for some strange reason. According to this report by Hollywood Reporter, listed the various salaries of the MCU now, including a claim that Larson had been paid $5 million for her debut as part of a 7-film deal. So she went on Twitter and was like, nah. That didn't happen. So, and it wouldn't be, I mean, there are some, like Chris Evans is just starting to get out of just finished up his, and Tom Holland, as his article points out, that they both have relatively long deals. Actually, Sebastian Stan has a really lengthy deal that's probably close to coming up. I think he was on board for like 9 or something. So I don't know what that's about. I can't remember if that was actually true or not. But regardless, it was a thing, and it was debunked. Next up,
Black Panther 2, Ryan Coogler closes the deal to write and direct the sequel. Yay! Hold on. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Also coming from the Hollywood Reporter. I thought we talked about this last week, but I don't think we did. So because it came out like I might have come out that night. We were recording. So yeah, that's a good thing. Awesome. Spider-Man's new suit debuts in Far From Home New York set videos.
Did you see it?
Oh yeah, I've seen it. It's the black and red joint. Which stop, please stop.
He's actually, believe it or not, I was on. I was just closing a tab, and apparently, Tom Holland is wearing the suit on Kimmel tonight, and Kimmel's in Brooklyn all week. So apparently, Holland, like they must have wrapped filming here in the city this week, and Tom Holland's on Kimmel tonight.
Yeah. In fact, yeah, that's the other story in that Spider-Man Far From Home wraps production.
Nice.
So, and you see here with a picture of him in the suit, the aforementioned suit, with Zendaya as as MJ / Mary Jane, both looking all cute. So, and you see him. Oh yeah, this is his from the rap with him in his cool shades. Looking like James Dean. last day, like, that meme.
Sure.
So yeah, that's the thing. It happened. And I guess since he's going to be on the Kimmel tonight, then yeah, he'll probably be talking about that. So since I took that one, you can take this next one.
Sure. So scroll back up. I had mistakenly scrolled down. Let's see. Someone used a deep learning AI to perfectly insert Harrison Ford into Solo, a Star Wars story. Oh my goodness.
I wasn't going to put this in the news, and just put this in clickbait, but I was like, you know what? Sure, why not? So yeah, apparently there's some YouTuber named Dirt Fakes, which that was the reason why I wouldn't have put this in here. That made a video that did that. And actually, like I said, from the GIF above, looks not bad, actually. It's kind of weird. But anyway, that's that. So if you get a chance to check that out, go for it. The big news from this past week had you might as well say set Twitter aflame, kinda. Iron Fist canceled after 2 seasons at Netflix.
Hold on.
Yeah, that's probably the right answer. So yeah, and I guess I'll go ahead and tag in the next one after this and say that Finn Jones releases a statement on said cancellation. And he says that with every end, there's a new beginning. I have an enormous amount of love and respect for everyone involved with the last 2 seasons of the show, defending the greatest city in the world amongst the most talented and warmest people has been a privilege and a joy. Blessed to have taken this journey and grateful to the ongoing support. Now, some more folks are speculating, probably rightly, that and I think this is, even though the show's ending, does not necessarily in for the character, because he could show up in other people's joints. And I think I've seen some speculation that even though it's canceled here, it could come back on Marvel's streaming thing or Disney's streaming service.
Sure. Which,
yeah, could be possibly the case. Or if they've been up and down about doing Defenders again, which Charlie Cox wants, but I didn't put that in the news article. That could be there. So, I was like, the news of it ending would seem like it was bigger, or probably as big, but bigger than when they first announced it. Because when they first announced it, no one wanted this.
Mm-hmm.
And when the first season actually came out, people were like, "What? Ooh." So, but I heard the second season's gotten better. I don't know. I haven't watched it yet.
I was about to say, speaking of Marvel's Netflix offerings, Daredevil is going to drop tomorrow.
Yes, that is true. And I've already seen mixed reviews on that one, so that's, take it for what you will, I guess. Next up, though,
it's hard. What I was going to add to that is it's hard to take those reviews all that seriously, because they only see, I think, half the season in order to formulate those reviews. So I think we have to wait until people have had a chance to binge it and watch every episode and see what they think of the entire series, that entire volume as a whole.
Right. I would go further than that and say that, and it's very well possible that they could have seen the whole season, but reviews are subjective also. So I would say you kind of have to make your own mind, watch it for yourself if you're interested, and make up your own mind anyway.
Well, that's a caveat that we can give to everyone who's listening to our show.
I mean, and
But
I
in
will,
all I was about to say, but in all seriousness, I do read a couple of those reviews every now and again, and they do actually make a point of saying we've seen the first 6 episodes.
Mhm. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I'm not saying that wasn't the case, but I don't know. Depending on when the depending on when the review came out, also, because they are still coming out as we speak. But yeah, so either way, regardless, that is a thing, and take it for what you will.
All right. Next up, Star Trek Discovery's Michelle Yeoh finds perfection in Starfleet's Section 31. So,
Yeah. So yeah, I have not been I need to keep saying this. I need to watch Discovery because well, one, for her, but two, in general, because I'm hearing good things about it. So, and I've heard even in the 2 seasons that it's already been on, it's kind of gone a couple of places. So, yeah. Anyway, next up, DC confirms James Gunn's Suicide Squad 2 is a completely fresh take, quote unquote. So, yeah, if you did not know already, James Gunn was rumored or reportedly hired to do Suicide Squad, which seemed like it's actually a thing that actually happened. So yeah, we're gonna get possibly a Suicide Squad 2 with we're gonna get Suicide Squad 2 anyway, but it's going to be James Gunn at the helm. And I think there was another article that's no surprise that Batista said he would be a part of that if asked or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Sure. All righty. Next up, thanks to Fantastic Beasts, the Flash movie just slowed down. Oh,
of course. So yeah, Ezra Miller is also in the Fantastic Beasts. What I keep wanting to say, Fantastic Beats. But anyway, he's in that, and I think because of him doing that movie, that is putting behind the shooting of Flash, which was already in 2019, but it sounds like it might be pushed to 2021.
That's right. He is in Fantastic Beasts.
So it's got no conflict, folks. You can't avoid them sometimes. Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is under arrest in new set photos. So yeah, there's more off of that. There was also another article that I saw that I didn't put in, and I'm not sure why I'm bringing it up, but that Zazie Beetz had confirmed that this was going to be, and I put air quotes up like you could actually see me at this point if you're watching the video, which you can't. That there's going to be any grills or face tats on this iteration of the Joker. It wasn't a confirmation. It was that she hasn't seen any, but there's been people running it as confirmation because she said she hasn't seen it because she was asked. Now that's not saying that she's that it's still the case, but I'm like, I don't know. That's kind of bad reporting by saying confirming something that wasn't necessarily confirmed just because the person didn't see anything. Anyway, that's that. So yeah, new set photos, which apparently are not in this article.
Okay.
But it's not too far from what we saw last week. So next up,
Tyler Hoechlin. Is that how it's pronounced?
Let's go with that, sure.
Or Hecklin. Tyler Hoechlin's Superman sports the black suit for Arrowverse's Elseworlds crossover.
Yep, that's coming up fast and furious, folks. Possibly will have no tie to Fast and Furious. And as you can see, there's a picture of him and Grant Gustin and Stephen Amell, I guess, on set. Which, if you want to take the next one, by the way, it's kind of related.
Things are switched up in this Elseworlds posters.
Yep. So here's the poster for as well. I thought this was because I saw another thing that looks like somebody had
photoshopped them.
And that's kind of what this looks like.
All right.
if you're watching the video, but apparently no, this is that, and it's going to be, what that sounds like it's going to be. So as you can see here, there's a picture of Grant Gustin in the Green Arrow garb and Stephen Amell in the Flash garb, which looks totally weird. So next up, Pennyworth adds 2 cast members. Yes, folks, they are still doing that that Alfred show, which apparently it's going to be 10 episodes. And Gotham showrunner Bruno Heller, trying to get as much money out of the property as can. That is my editorialization. Is helming it, and it's going to be released next year. Apparently, there's going to be 2 people called Davy Boy and Baza, and they already have actors in the form of Ryan Fletcher and Ainsley Lloyd Bennett as the characters, and they are lifelong friends of Alfred's from the Army days, serving the same corps.
Okay.
So, yep, that's the thing. It is not Doctor Who's son, Sean Pertwee, playing this version of Alfred, because it's a young version of Alfred. I'm not sure if this show is even needed, but actually, an Alfred show sounds like not a bad idea if it was Pertwee.
Cool.
Next.
Alrighty, so I guess we're going to transition to comic book news, huh?
Yep. We had to put that one in there somewhere, sure.
Exactly. I set that one up.
Mm-hmm.
So first up, Marvel has teased the new Guardians of the Galaxy team, and do we get to the full reveal?
I'm not sure if it says so in here, but well, I mean, you can see the cover, so we see who.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, we do get the makeup of the.
Yeah, it's a pretty powerhouse group, but it's also very reminiscent of a group that had formed after a big cosmic event. Say again?
Annihilation.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a mix of that, because I mean, I'm trying to remember how many of these people was on that group. Probably 3.
Yeah.
And then, so let's go ahead and run it down, I guess, a little bit. So there's Beta Ray Bill, there's Peter Quill, Nighthawk,
not Nighthawk, Darkhawk.
Darkhawk, excuse me, sorry.
Nighthawk is a different character.
Yeah, totally different character. Nova back there, Richard Rider, Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Yeah, Cosmic Ghost Rider is gonna be everywhere. We had talked about this.
Cosmic Ghost Rider, because
it is. It is.
Okay. Oh shit!
You talk about the Silver Surfer, right?
Yes.
Silver Surfer. Okay. Warlock.
Silver Surfer. Moondragon. We haven't seen in a minute. Warlock. I'm trying to remember dude's name over here from
Gladiator.
Gladiator. Thank you. And he was just in Mr. and Mrs. X. So I don't know why I'm blanking like that. And Phyla, the former
Phyla Bell. Yeah.
Phyla, yeah. Who linked with Moondragon, and also. No Rocket Raccoon, but there is a Groot.
Right.
Which is weird to some people, because I know there's a Rocket Raccoon fan that I follow who was like, what?
Can't have one without the other.
Yeah. So that was amusing for that standpoint. But yeah, that's the lineup, and it's a pretty big one, so that ought to be amusing. Oh wait, it says 6 of these. So I was looking at the cover. So those are all the people. And it says at the top, 6 of these cosmic heroes will be the new Guardians of the Galaxy. So I was like, I thought that was too many people for a lineup.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, consider everybody that I've mentioned, and I think they've actually said the actual 6.
Oh, they have.
Yes, I believe that is out there.
Okay.
But this is just happened to be the cover of the first issue. Anywho, is that me or you?
Yeah, it's you.
Okay. Star Wars writer Chuck Wendig, shocked as anybody would be. So by Twitter after. So Chuck Wendig got fired from Marvel because of his social media presence. So if you follow Chuck Wendig, who's a prevalent Star Wars writer, he was working on a Vader miniseries, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and got taken off the last couple of issues because of his stance on social media, which is crazy. One, because he's anti-Trump, and he's definitely not a comic getter. He's very vocal about his political stance, and he's I guess you could say liberal, but I'm not even entirely sure. But he's basically anti-Nazi and all this kind of all this stuff. So got fired by Marvel for
basically cursing at people.
Yeah.
That's basically what it came down to. I would like to think that it's not about his particular views, but that he was expressing himself the way you would, when you're getting ready to fight somebody. So
it depends on the take. I mean,
right.
You could put both of them together and make still a bad cause. Because I mean, like, hey, I would like to think those creators probably doing way worse than he was, and still,
sure.
And this is right after Chelsea Kane got fired from Marvel for not necessarily for that same little reasons. We still, that's a whole side issue. But also I know there was another article about she's, coming out on his side as he came out for her. So that's the thing. So it's weird days nowadays. But next up,
right, Marvel Spider-Man first DLC pack is going to come out next week, and it's going to include 3 new suits.
Yes. So this is the first of the DLC for which I know this is the first of 3, because I think there was probably another one that may or may not have come out already, or is going to come out by next week, but I don't know. But regardless, this is the first of 3 DLC that is that's basically like the first chapter of said piece of DLC, and it's going to have 3 new suits. No word on whether the rest of them are going to follow suit and have more suits than that, because we know Spidey's had a bunch of suits. And I think we get to see, wait, hang on. Oh yeah. So we do actually get to see the suits that are going to be put out with the DLC. Which, at some point, some of the suits, look similar to the other suits that he's had.
Right. But if you're familiar with Spider-Verse, you're still getting a kick out of seeing these.
Exactly. So there's that, and the DLC is going to come out October 23rd, and it's going to be $24.99 for the season pass, but it's $8 for the actual one piece, the one part. So if you played that and if you played that and liked it and finished it, like I have not yet, you'll check it out when it happens. Injustice 2 unused art reveals Constantine, Detective Chimp, and more. So apparently, the concept artist for Injustice got Injustice 2, the video game, went out there and said, "Hey, there's some stuff and that we didn't get to use." So with those characters, so apparently including, like I said, Detective Chimp, Crypto, that was a weird one, and Bluebird, and let's see, this is Final Wrestle. Oh well, yeah, and of course Constantine, which some people who love that game, including myself, would have liked to have seen Constantine in that game. So didn't happen, but yeah. Next up,
Black Lightning, The Question, and more are going to take the lead in a new DC Black Label series called The Other History of the DC Universe, in the vein of People's History of the United States.
Yeah, kind of. So we've kind of talked about this, but it's been a while. This is the project written by 12 Years a Slave screenwriter John Ridley. And I only say that because that's probably the thing he's most known for, because he's done other stuff. And yeah, that's the thing. Oh, it is also worth noting that solicitations for January 2019 are out. So if you're so inclined, you can go find those and check those out and see what's in it. Oh yes, debut issue of Murder Falcon rushed back to print. And I basically just put that article in there just so I could do that, but also that is a fact that is a thing. So apparently it's to warrant another reprint. Again, it was amusing. Have you had a chance to read it?
It's a trap. It's a trap.
Kinda, but
I haven't read it.
Yeah, it's like I said, it feels like a throwback book, but it's kind of ridiculous. But
It's funny.
yeah. Anyway, so
Rogue One screenwriter is launching Oliver at Image Comics. Is that Oliver Twist?
yes, it is.
It's the classic Charles Dickens story, recreating the main character into what Image describes as a post-apocalyptic superhero fighting to liberate a war-ravaged England while searching for the truth about his own mysterious origins.
Right, and the screenwriter, and if you did not already know, if you're not if you've been around the tech video game circles, it is Gary Whitta, and also art from Derek Robinson.
Cool.
So
Good.
I believe that is coming out in January. Yep, January 23rd. If you're so inclined, go check it out when it happens. So I'm going to take these next two, and there's part of it that I'm still not sure about, but we're going to just keep rolling on here. So, and this is one of the few times I will actually cite Bleeding Cool for anything. You guys all know that by now. But let me stop this video, please. Thank you. An apology concerning Vox Day. We made a mistake. So apparently, from what I'm gathering, Bleeding Cool did an article interview possibly with or about Vox Day, who is a known comics gator. Okay. And alt-writer, even if he's not, whatever the case may be. Y'all, at this time, we've talked about comics gating, how stupid and sad a hate group that is. That shouldn't be around. I'm not sure. I did not see the interview, but they may have pulled it by the time I saw this. But I don't know. Either it was taken that they were from what this apology sounds like. It may have been taken that they were giving up a platform and justifying that cause. And that may be why this article was put out. But it led them to name a new editor-in-chief in Caitlin Booth, which basically kind of told me, it was like, oh, there's another person there at Bleeding Cool on the side of Rich Johnson, whom you mostly see articles from, but I don't know. Regardless, I don't know. Again, I don't know what's happening. Now, there are some comics gig adjacent people that have been saying things and using the taking down of the interview and other parody sites as actual news, and saying that, hey, spinning it in a different light as one U.S. president that is currently around that would do. So those people need to go away. And like I said, but there's still a little bit about this situation that's I'm not clear on. But nevertheless, Bleeding Cool has a new editor-in-chief.
Alrighty, next up, Star Trek Online's journey to discovery squanders some of its great potential. I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, so that aside, that is a review for the new it's not necessarily like expansion. So Star Trek Online is the long-running MMO based on Star Trek license. This is the first time that they've ever been able to put something in the game that is from a current show, because there hasn't been a current show while this game has been around. But now Discovery is. So now this is basically an update that puts people in the time of Discovery. I haven't had a chance to play it yet because I'm slightly behind on some stuff in the game. But that side, that was the reason why I put this in here, because just to mention the fact that that's a thing that is in the game now. And apparently one of the stars from the show is actually doing a voice, or character is in the show and they're doing the voice for it. And it looks like it's a character that people like. Again, I'm behind on Discovery, so I don't know. All right. Tom Clancy's The Division continues in extremis malice. So the Tom Clancy's Division is a video game in the Tom Clancy universe. And if you don't know Tom Clancy's video game verse or his books by now, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, so this is a comic book in the universe of the recent, not even recent, the game's been out a while actually. In the current game, The Division. I think there's a Division 2. I don't know if it's gonna tie into Division 2 or just something from in that world, because Division 2 is coming up at some point.
Alrighty, and I guess last is Jeff Gerber is out as Lineforge president.
Yep. So yeah, he left in August to apparently do something else, dealing with the IPs. So that's something. Lineforce has not publicly named a new president, though Dave Stewart too remains CEO. So
okay,
yeah. And that, folks, is it for us. I don't know if you had anything, any kind of show and tell or anything.
No, not this week. Hopefully soon, as Aunt Petunia's favorite nephew is on his way, and I should be able to assemble the Marvel Legends Fantastic Four very, very, very soon.
No, the Fantastic Four don't assemble; the Avengers do.
Well,
and you know,
if you want to be picky like that.
There was actually something I read I was like, wait, that along the lines of Fantastic Four, that was kind of similar. I was like, wait, they don't do that. What are you doing? Anyway,
they form the Fantastic Four, okay?
The family. Yes.
Aye. So
that being said, folks, yes.
Let's get this last ad read of the night.
Yes.
In before we sign off. Our last ad read of the night is for Blue Apron's meal delivery service. Blue Apron has fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron, always shipped free right to your home. And now the listeners of the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcasts free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today.
I feel like I should vamp for like 9 minutes, because normally we don't finish up. But that's a little behind the scenes. We don't need to go into all that. But that being said, folks, thank you for coming out for this here episode of the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles. We will be back next week to this locality. So for 1agent_70, where you can find on Twitter and Instagram at agent_70.
Yep.
PCN_dirt, you can find at that address on Twitter. Also, Pop Culture Net on Twitter and popculturenetwork.com and ineedcomics.com.
Yep.
Tim Dad 98, Tim DOGG98 on Twitter, the KLIQ NATION on Twitter. That's the KLIQ Nation, and also CB Cron on Twitter. Also find him at thekliqnation.com, and of course, CBR, that's Comic Book Resources, where he's writing his face off. And for myself, Rightycat, you can find me at Rightycat on Twitter and in the pretty much anywhere on Twitter and whatnots on the social medias. News Nerds Need on Twitter. newsnerdsneed.com is coming at some point, but there's a Reddit, so you can go check that out. And actually, I think newsnerdsneed.com probably points to that for right now. You can also check out my comic book Instagram, CB Caps. That's CB Caps. There you go. And for that, folks, we leave you until next week. This is the KLIQ Nation Comic Book Chronicles, and we are out.
Peace. One.
Good evening, Rick.
Would you believe it's Dr. Doom?
What's on your evil mind?